I'm here at Pinewood Studios with Sony to take a look at the brand new Sony FX5. In terms of top line specs, we start off with 5K, open gate up to 120p after a version 2 software update. You've then got triple base ISO, you've got new support monitoring features like false color, and then along with that, you've got a new Sony Venice-inspired menu, and to top it all off, you can also shoot internal RAW as well. So let's talk about what's inside the Sony FX5. We're going to start off with the sensor, which is a 16.6 megapixel 5K fully stacked Exmor RS full frame sensor. And along with that, you've got the Bionz XR2 processor, which gives you faster readout speeds. And to top it all off, you've got that AI functionality as well in the camera, helping you with your autofocus, but then also helping to improve your image and video quality. So let's talk video specs, and that's what we all want to know here. So we'll first off start with the big flagship one, which is your 5K open gate, which currently you can do up to 60p when the camera releases. However, when the V2 firmware comes out, you can go up to 120p. And that's similar when we work down in resolutions as well, as in 1080p, you can currently only do 120p, but when the V2 firmware comes in, you can go up to 240p as well. With that, you've then got the inclusion of internal RAW. When you're shooting an open gate, you can only shoot that through internal RAW as well. It has both a full RAW profile, then 2 different levels of compression with C1 and C2 when you look through the menus. So that helps you just work out whether or not you want to do full RAW or you want to go for more of a compressed ratio. However, the actual bit rates of these files line up slightly to what you're normally used to when shooting in H.265 and 10-bit 422. The other great thing to know about RAW is it's not 12-bit, it's 16-bit RAW. So you've already got that increase in dexterity for your image as well. So it's packing quite a large punch here. With that, you've then also got that inclusion of triple base ISO, where your ISO levels are at 800, 4000, and then 12,800, which means that depending on whatever lighting condition you're battling, you can pretty much choose whichever in those bases and have a really great starting point for exposing your image properly. Now, as we carry on, we then also have 5-axis image stabilisation too. So if you're running and gunning, and you're just using the camera, you can get a really nice steady shot out of it. But you do need to take into consideration that it will crop the image slightly as well, just to adjust for things, and it depends on if you're putting the dynamic mode on as well, as that will change the look and feel of the image too. But it does have that 5-axis IBIS if you're ever caught short and you don't have a gimbal or any sort of steady support with you. Along with that, you've then got the AI functionality for autofocus too, which looks out for humans, birds and animals. So when navigating the menus of the FX5, it includes a more Cine Alta or Venice style menu system, where even just the preview screen, the menu and the items around it are surrounding the image itself. It's not overlaid, you've not got stuff on top. So if you are used to those Venice systems, you're going to find this quite easy to migrate to, but also it's a nice step up from the FX3 where you're changing to a more Cine set menu straight off the bat. And because of that, you might find that it's slightly simpler. But you'll also find that there's no photo settings, as the FX5 doesn't actually include a photo mode. So instead of taking actual photos with the camera, you'll just have to take a screenshot instead. So moving to that more Cine style, you also have the inclusion of false color, waveforms, vector, focus maps, and all of those sorts of things that you normally expect and you probably use like an external monitor for. You now have it all built into the camera itself, which just gives you that extra control for exposing your images. And then when we come to the end of kind of like the overall video specs, you've got enhanced AF for low light conditions, which is where that AI processing unit is really helping you. And to top it all off, it shoots up to 15 stops of dynamic range too. Now you're probably also wondering what comes with the Sony FX5. Now you'll see on the camera is a new viewfinder. You can also get the top handle, which comes with it as part of the kit, similar to the FX3. And if we start off talking about the viewfinder, however, it's got a 3.68 million dot OLED display inside it. It's pretty much like using any standard mirrorless viewfinder, but it's a lot more hefty and also has a 90-degree tiltable angle to it. However, if you use the viewfinder, you can't then use the handle as well at the same time, as it does kind of like block the slot as per se. So it might be something in future where you might have a cable or something like that to help move it across. However, it's very handy for getting those more docu-like things and also shooting with 3 points of contact and everything like that as well. Now, although the viewfinder is new, it's not backwards compatible as per se. It does have a dedicated port built into it and built into the Sony FX5. So you can only use it for the Sony FX5 currently. We have the viewfinder, but as a kit, you can get the FX5 with its top handle. And using the top handle, you do also then get the integration of 32-bit flow audio. However, I will note, even though the handle looks similar to what you get with the FX3 one will not work on the FX5 and vice versa. So you will have to upgrade the handle if you want that 32-bit float capability as well. The other thing to then note as well, if you're using the top handle, you can't use the viewfinder because obviously it blocks the actual viewfinder port where the viewfinder sits on top of the camera too. So that's just something to note whether or not you're using and switching accessories, and just something to think about as well. Another accessory for the FX5 is the addition of a USB-C to BNC cable, which gives you timecode, so you can keep everything in sync on set. Obviously, the advantage of having a full frame open gate sensor is that you can then open yourself up to get anamorphic glass. And luckily the FX5 has several different de-squeeze options as well, and actually quite a lot more than what the FX3 does. It's got 1.3, 1.5, 1.6, 1.8 and 2.0 de-squeeze options for using your anamorphic glass on this camera. Let's talk about the external design and body. First off, the body only weighs 750 grams and is slightly larger than what the FX3 is. So that's where you're seeing kind of like just very minute changes. It's only a slight jump from the FX3 itself. However, it does have extra features. So we'll start from the top and work our way around. First off, you've obviously got the hot shoe and the inclusion of your viewfinder port for plugging your viewfinder in. To the right, you've then got your recording button, you've got the toggle, and you've got a new Sony Venice style wheel that sits at the top here, plus your shutter release, your zoom toggle. Then on the side, you've got your CF Express Type A and SD card slot for UHS Mark IIs and SDXC 90s. With the new larger monitor, it also moves in 4 axes. So it means you can view the monitor from pretty much any angle that you so wish, from top down to the side and everything in between. On the back, you've also then got your on and off switch. You've got your clips button. You've got a button which says false color below, so it's preset to false color, but you can obviously change that later on. You've got your menu mode as well, and if you hold that for 3 seconds, that will take you to the full menu too. You've got your back button, and then another custom button as well, and then home and user, which you can change your user interface for. Then on the side, we've got, first off, your full-size HDMI. You've got an Ethernet port, so if you're streaming or connecting stuff to computers or trying to do a multicam setup, you can go through that. On the side as well, you've then got your microphone jack and headphone jack, and then also the inclusion of 2 USB-C ports for power and charging, but also transferring data. On the front, you then also have another recording button as well. So the other important thing to note is that the FX5 uses the new Sony FW50s. So when upgrading, you just need to make sure to buy the new batteries too if you're using the in-camera ones. So I think overall, if you're trying to look for that upgrade for your FX3, this is definitely a route to take a look at and probably to go down as well. Having the RAW capability, you've now got OpenGate as well, which opens you up competitively for the rest of the market in terms of reframing stuff in portrait or landscape, but also creatively having that OpenGate option as well. But also then having internal RAW 2 up to 16-bit is quite incredible for a camera this size. It's really nice to see that coming out into the market as well. But overall, it's a very impressive camera. Looking forward to testing it more as time goes on. I hope you've enjoyed this very brief but quick video on the FX5, and I'll see you in the next one.